Today, I'm going to be showing levels I couldn't show, like one level where you lose literally instantly, another level which was literally impossible, a level so difficult that even I gave up trying to beat it, and much more. Let's start from where it all began, Adventure Mode. When I beat the game, I've never actually completed 2 adventure levels, so you could say I still haven't ever legitimately finished the game. The first of these levels is level 510. 10 months ago, when I attempted to start playing this level after 5.9, the game would crash immediately. I still don't know why this happened. Maybe the mod developer tried to change up the Zomboss fight, but all I know was I had to use Cheat Engine to skip this level, which was pretty annoying. This was fixed in the later version, but it's just an easier version of Dr. Zomboss' Revenge, so it's not that big of a deal that we skipped this level. Granted, I probably should have started on a newer version before even starting the series, since version 1.2.4 is much more balanced and also includes World 7 to begin with. Now, speaking of World 7, it wasn't just the most difficult world of the entire game, but it's actually impossible since it contains a level that you can't beat. Level 7.5 is a minigame inspired by Snake in Bruno Mode EX+. I skipped this level not because this level was too hard, but because of a glitch in this level. The premise of this level is simple. We control a snake of stars with our arrow keys, and we need to control these stars and move them to the proper place to damage zombies. In an ancient version of Bruno Mode EX+, you were able to increase the length of the snake by buying more star fruits, which allows us to scale up in damage against the later waves. Unfortunately, in later versions, pressing the starfruit button does literally nothing, so we can't increase the length of our snake to do more damage, making the level impossible to beat. So I had to skip this level using the in-game cheat codes, or else we can't progress further into the mod. So much for having a minigame for the hardest world in the game. Well, I say it's impossible, but sure. I would be incredibly impressed if someone could beat this level without increasing the length of the snake in a level with Giga Football zombies. I couldn't find a version of the mod that has a working version of this level since the mod is quite obscure. So, oh well. Guess I can't ever have legitimately beat Bruno Mode EX+. Now we're done talking about Adventure Mode. Obviously, there are more broken levels than just those 2, or else this video wouldn't exist. The first of these is the minigame version of the snake level on the secret page. Unfortunately, it is also equally broken and unplayable, and also impossible to beat. But other than just Snake, there is also another minigame that was adapted from Adventure Mode that is impossible to beat, and that level in question is all by oneself. This level has the same gimmick as in level 6.5. We control a plant that attacks at hyperspeed, and we need to move it up and down to kill all the zombies. This time, the game isn't broken or glitched out. I'm just fairly certain the modder forgot to test this minigame before releasing it into the public, because this level is certainly impossible. Just like in 6.5, we get 5 sun for every basic equivalent killed. Upon reaching a certain amount of sun, the plant that we control becomes more powerful, allowing us to go further and further. However, instead of upgrading to a melon pole immediately at 500 sun like in Adventure Mode, the minigame version of this level is much harder, only upgrading to a repeater at 750 sun. The next few tiers is even more ridiculous, as we can only get repeater at 2000 sun and Gatling Pea at 5000 sun. Mind you, we're unlocking a worse plant 50% later than in level 6.5, and that level was already very tough. Plus, we were also able to do regrow farm with dancing zombies to get more sun. Well, the problem here is, we have no regrow farm. You don't even unlock repeater until after the first flag, and this level is 4 flags. Just playing this level once is enough for everyone to see that it's definitely impossible, because there's literally no way to survive and save up 2000 sun in the first place. The repeater is garbage because it only shoots like 4 times a second, averaging only 133 DPS, which is so sad that even one melon pole with planter hitting just 3 zombies will have more DPS. On top of that, sipping up for 2000 sun is killing 400 basic equivalents, and you get only a cumulative total of 354 basic equivalents in 2 flag levels in Bruno Mode EX+. Upgrading to free Peter might as well be impossible, because you won't even live past the first few Gargantuars that get thrown at your face with how bad the hyperspeed repeater is. Either I'm missing something about the level and how it is supposed to be played, or you need to be dreamed to beat this level by making the level only spawn basic zombies. Good luck if you want to try and beat this, because I don't think it's realistically beatable. After 2 secret page levels that were definitely not tested by the mod developer, it's time to talk about the secret page levels that I did actually manage to beat. You may be asking, why did I put 2 levels that I managed to beat into this video? Listen out, because I had a very good reason to scrap these levels. The first of these is called Sunshine and Fog. Immediately, I think you can see why I didn't really want to show this level because, well, you can't even see anything. The level itself has one gimmick which I find ridiculous, which is sunlight now lights up the fog, revealing all adjacent squares. And no, Blower and Planter don't reveal the fog this level. In hindsight, I'm now sitting here complaining about this level because it should have been obvious from the start that a gimmick like this would have near zero impact on the gameplay. Who is out here planting their sunshroom into the fog just so they can see what zombies are coming? And if you're worried about your other plants, why bother revealing the fog if you can just use a puff shroom and attempt to plant on that tile to check if that plant is dead or not? At the end of the day, this gimmick was just a really bad idea in the first place, since all this did was to encourage me to use the dumb strategy, as I couldn't identify the location of zombies. Using Doomshroom spam allows me to entirely ignore which lane each zombie is in, making the fog that was supposed to be annoying to manage plants pretty much irrelevant. Plus, the smartest way to play this level is just to use Cattail to automatically kill the most threatening zombies, defeating the entire purpose of the fog. To be perfectly honest, I had no idea what zombies there were in the fog the entire time, so it was just spam Doomshroom when a new wave came in, and plant Cattails when I could. Obviously, this beats the level with ease because none of the zombies pose threats against Cattails. I really wish there was at least like a restriction on Cattail, so it doesn't become the default way to cheese this level. This next level I couldn't show has an interesting premise but also a great zombie. Since there's Conehead Pea Shooter zombies, I'm bringing out the garlic variation of the dumb strategy again, but here's a twist I did not anticipate on my first attempt. This level is called Invisible Guardian. If by Guardian you mean making my life miserable, then that is true, because this level turns all plants invisible, and even turns seed packets invisible. Now, if you're seeing the similarities between this level and the last one, they both make you not able to see your own plants, and essentially forces us to use the dumb strategy. Granted, this one is much worse, as we have to deal with Conehead Pea Shooter zombies, so you can't even see if you need to replace your garlic until it's already dead. If you want to know how this level transpired, I didn't either, which is why it's in this video, because I had no idea where any of my plants were. All I knew was I let too many sunflowers die because I wasn't planting my defensive plants well enough to avoid all the catapults and zombotany EPs. So guess what the solution for this is now? Yeah, dumb strategy. Ton of variation since we can't see our plants. The most brain dead strategy is the best solution to the level. Everyone already knows how this is going to go down. I plant 4 columns of sunflowers, then 1 column of tallness to protect everything from pea shooter zombies, and then spam Doomshroom every wave and automatically win. It's not even interesting to talk about because all the zombies this level don't do well against tallnuts, as their passive healing is strong enough to basically never die throughout the level. Catapults and bungees? We got them with our umbrella leaf. Tallnut zombies? Yeah, they're irrelevant because they do the same amount of damage as basic zombies. What about Conehead Pea Shooter zombies if they're always dead to our constant Doomshrooms? Pole vaulters? Man, I really wish Tallnut wasn't already the best defensive option against them. The level was just really damn boring, and unfortunately, it had to go into this video of levels I couldn't show because frankly, not only was it really boring, but also really easy and repetitive. I did eventually beat the level with more than 8,000 sun remaining, which goes to show how absurd Tallnut dumb strategy is in Brutal Mode EX Plus that you can beat levels on autopilot. Now we're done with these 2 levels where we weren't able to see our plants on the screen, I'm going to talk about levels that I didn't beat because of their extreme difficulty. And oh boy, these levels were just the worst. But before we continue, I'm asking you to press subscribe if you've been enjoying this so far. I've got about 197,000 returning viewers, but only 61,000 of you lot are subscribed. This means about 69% of you lot are not subscribed. We need to bring this number down. Please. Okay, but now I shall explain the first extreme difficulty level. The level idea is simple. It's called Bullet Hell, and we pretty much understand what the objective of the level is. And you did indeed see that correctly. In the short time I spent on an introduction, we already lost once. This level is certainly something to witness if you're a masochist. The goal is to collect the same projectile as your mouse and make sure you make 0 contact with any other projectile. Every time you collect enough of one type, you move on to a new projectile, and one new projectile is added to the random bullet hell that is the screen. To say that this level is painful is an understatement. As the name of the level implies, This level is something I'd never even wish upon my worst enemies, because this is actual hell. The level is near impossible to complete because of the number of projectiles that you need to collect. It's like near the 30s later on when you move on to the biggest projectiles. It is well known on my Discord server for people who have attempted this level to say that this level is a full circus because of how ridiculously hard it is to avoid all the projectiles. This level isn't even close to being beatable without cheating, as the projectiles literally become cop cannon shots later on in the level, making it nearly impossible to dodge or avoid. Not only that, the hitboxes of the projectiles are literally completely effed up. There is literally no way you're telling me that this is somehow close enough to make the player lose. The level being ridiculously hard isn't the only reason why I decided against showing this in a normal video, but rather this level isn't even in the spirit of PvZ. I imagine no one is actually interested in playing Touhou in PvZ. I get it that I use a lot of Touhou music, but that doesn't actually mean I want to play some bullet hell games in PvZ, man. And this level is so dumb that I had to try to cheat the system by pausing the game to teleport my mouse cursor to another place on the screen to collect projectiles. But even with my antics, I failed to beat the level due to the ridiculous hitboxes of the projectiles, and I gave up pretty swiftly after realizing that I didn't want to waste my time on this level. Plenty of people have given attempts to this level and have all resorted to cheating using the pause screen and save states, only to reach minimal success to say the least. Due to how frustrating the level is, they even called this level the level they never want to play again. That pretty much sums up the difficulty of the level, which is why I'm setting a challenge for someone. I already know you're watching this, Shy Guy Mask. If you're not, someone will definitely send this to you. Since you like playing bullet hell games so much, I challenge you to beat this level without cheating by pausing or widescreen. I'm waiting for someone to beat this legitimately. I want to be proven wrong by any bullet hell enthusiasts out there showing me a full run of this minigame without pausing. Good luck for anyone wishing to attempt this challenge. But this wasn't the only level that I felt was too difficult and didn't beat. Back in part 8, I didn't beat Walnut Bowling. I should have left it out of the video, but I'll just rehash my point again. Walnut Bowling is much harder than its original counterpart, as the level has twice the spawning density compared to before, while giving the same amount of nuts on the conveyor. You essentially have to play twice as efficient as you do in vanilla, which is pretty distasteful considering all the walnuts have random speeds and also move in an unpredictable direction. There's really no point trying to beat this level if the win condition is waiting until you get enough Explodo nuts to pass the level. It's not satisfying to beat a level without much control over the outcome of it, so I'm not going to try it again in the future. So I've talked about a level that crashed our game, levels that were impossible to beat, levels that you can see nothing. Now it's time for the level everyone has been waiting for. I'm not exactly sure if this level was intended to be beatable or even tested for its difficulty, because I spent 4 different streams trying to beat it to no success at all. I gave up as I was pretty convinced that this level was too hard for even me to try and beat, and it is called Schrodinger's Zombie. It's a locked and loaded challenge, so I'm forced to use these plants. No Doom Shroom and no Planter to buff Melon Pulse with. To explain it easily, the zombies in this level are in a perpetual state of being alive. After being taken out, zombie corpses will never disappear and continue to be targeted by attacking plants. The only way we can remove these zombie corpses is by using an explosive plant, which removes both zombies and corpses outright. Alternatively, we can use Blover, which thankfully is in the locked and loaded loadout, which pushes the corpses back to the right hand side of the screen so it stops distracting our melons. Now, why would this gimmick even be a problem? Well, you'll find out very shortly in the first attempt. Although the set of plants you are given is quite strong to say the least, the zombies this level are much more threatening because of what the conditions are. The first problem are the ladder zombies. Ladder zombies can outright negate our tall nut, and this is really bad because we can't spare instant kills to remove ladders when we need them to get rid of corpses of zombies. The rate at which ladder zombies get sent is much faster than that if we can plant new tall nuts. Tall nuts are pretty expensive, and usually we never have to replace them because they heal themselves, so we don't see this problem a lot. Plus, any ladders are usually negated because Doom Shrooms remove all ladders instantly, but we can't use Doom Shroom this level. Well, the next problem is a very obvious one, which is this loadout completely eats crap against angry dancing zombies because we only have 3 instant kills and we need them to clear up corpses, making them just that much more threatening. This loadout is also really bad against letterhead zombies. Melon Bolts are far too weak to kill them off without Planturn support, and just this one letterhead took 50 seconds to deal with. This too weak to kill them off problem might as well apply to every single zombie in this level, because actually, just one Melon Bolt does like nearly no damage at all to deal with most threats in this game. It's not until the time when the most broken plants get taken away from the equation that I realized that the simple fact why I had to keep using the dumb strategy and melon planter spam was the levels of Brutal Mode EX Plus are simply too hard without the best plants. Like, even with Melon Bolt's strength of being able to lob over shields, we aren't able to kill ladder zombies or shovel zombies fast enough without using a blowover to stall. Very quickly, our one column of Melon Bolts is not able to defend for very long, and we start seeing a bunch of holes in our defense just halfway into this section, and we still got an entire flag to go to beat. Another extremely deadly combo this level is the shovel zombie along with the newspaper zombie. If you don't have a jalapeno ready to go, you might as well kiss goodbye to your defense, because you can't even stall newspaper zombies with blowovers since that breaks their newspaper. And shovel zombies are even harder to deal with since they can't be slowed down at all by blowovers. And it's not like newspaper zombies alone are not a massive threat. They always have been. But we've always managed to weave around them by relying on the dumb strategy, chompers, or whatever I might have thought of at that moment. But this level, we are not given a choice, and Melon Bolts really suck against them because they nearly miss all their shots. Now, this next attempt was actually really good effort from my end. I tried my best to hold off the hordes of newspaper zombies as much as possible using instant kills relatively efficiently, and actually managed to do well enough to start reaching the point where natural gargantuars are coming and still have a defense. Unfortunately, this was short-lasting because all it took was one single angry dancing zombie in the only lane without a roof cleaner to end my entire career. However, the threats don't just end there. Due to the presence of buckethead zombies, we still have to deal with target zombies this level, and we don't have Ice Shroom to prevent its bungee ambush either, making them incredibly dangerous as they can drop random gargantuars in the middle right in front of our tall nuts. In this next attempt, I got a really good early game since there were no dancing zombies, making it pretty easy, so I managed to get started on my second column of Melon Bolts. But it wasn't going to be as straightforward as just getting an easy early game that will allow us to beat this level, because this still gets completely crushed by any slight bit of target zombie unluck. Gargantuars being dropped right into the middle of the defense is certain death. And I tried this level again. With some early game optimizations I was making to my strategy, getting up one column of Melon Bolts by the time the first flag came was now pretty consistently feasible, and this seems to really lift the load off our instant kills. The amount of ladder zombies was definitely not pretty though, as they ravaged about half our tall nuts and sunflowers. But things are certainly looking up, since we saved up a decent bit of sun to plant blowovers and managed to stall out the first few gargantuars and finally reach the second flag. By a miracle, this was our best run yet because of the amount of sun we managed to save up, and now we're really in for the most challenging part of the level, surviving the massive hordes of dancing zombies and newspaper zombies. Which proved to be much harder than anticipated since one trophy dancer spawning a bunch of bungee ambushes was certain death for us once again. I originally thought that it must have just been some skill issue that I kept losing, but how this level transpired really hit hard that this wasn't just some easy task, as I realized the amount of target zombies is actually ridiculous past the second flag, and there's literally no way to defend against them with just some measly Melon Bolts. Our DPS is quite bad, and the gimmick just makes random zombies falling right into the middle of our defense that much more threatening. At which point, this was already 10 attempts of this level in one stream, so I called it quits here for the day. I tried beating this level again immediately on the next stream a day later. Unfortunately, we are not off to a good start on our first attempt, as I immediately get a really garbage spawn seed, with dancing zombies in literally every single wave possible before the first flag, which heavily impeded my progress on getting up Melon Bolts. We are definitely screwed if we only have 2 Melon Bolts to defend all of this. We then get a very quick loss again, and this time with some even worse zombies spawning RNG, getting an angry dancing zombie in 3 consecutive waves before the first flag. I've literally never seen something as stupid as this unluck before, and this was so unlikely to happen, it will hopefully never happen again. Luckily, those two warm-up games got me a much better early game in our third attempt, where we managed to make it to the second flag once again with the help of Blover stalling out Gargantuars. But holy crap, the amount of shovel zombies was actually out of this world that quite literally made our Tallnuts disappear from this world, and also dropped several zombies from out of this world right into our defense. Just like that, poof goes our Tallnut just 1 minute into the second flag, and there's still more target zombies at the back waiting to be killed. I mean, come on. There is always nothing like the feeling of RNGesus telling you to go screw yourself. I mean, my luck is just absolutely garbage. And I wonder if that's really why that's the reason I keep losing and losing to all these dumbass bungee ambushes that somehow always spawn Gargantuars. You couldn't have given me something easier to deal with, huh? So I thought to myself, right? These melon bolts aren't doing jack squat if they're just here hitting all these dead corpses. What if the strategy is to actually ignore planting any melon bolts? Well, I'm really excited to show you that this game might actually just be rigged, because now I got rid of melon bolts. Suddenly the game starts sending no target zombies at all and starts sending more letterheads than my chimney could even fit. How convenient. Okay, so could this level just be rigged? Maybe not, because I did manage to finally get some success after the 5 previous horrific fails. Once again, I tried ignoring melon bolts as I was fairly confident I didn't actually need them to beat the level, since most of the time they were doing quite literally nothing anyways. And to my surprise, just Blover Stall actually holds off the zombies really well, even without much things needed to do massive damage. And this really dumb strategy, sorry, pun not intended, actually gets us to the second flag here. But I'm pretty sure that you can see here that we can't infinitely stall with Blover, since our sunflower army is slowly getting smaller and smaller each wave, with each ladder zombie chipping away at our lineup. It wasn't long until I ran out of sun to keep Blover stalling, and that was pretty much the end of my attempt of this level without using melon bolts as part of the strategy, because this is basically where all things fall apart and ladder zombies galore are unstoppable at this point. I tried doing this strategy where I don't use any melon bolts once again, but it had pretty much the same issue as the last time, which was running out of sun after the second flag. It didn't seem to be that worth it to just do a pure Blover stall strategy without Doomshroom, so I finally decided to put it down and let it aside, accepting that this wasn't going to work. There were not many more ways I could try and beat this level due to how limited we can go with our provided loadout. Melon bolts spread out didn't work, no melon bolts didn't work, so I guess the next option is to go with clustered melon bolts. Now listen, this may be beneficial for us since 2 melon bolts in one lane can easily deal with ladder zombies, freeing up instant kills for us to use on other lanes without clustered melon bolts. But this didn't work very well for the first time since our economy was far too weak to rely on only instant kills for free lanes. I managed to squeeze out some more sunflowers in the early game, getting 5 more sunflowers than in my last run. This way, we definitely had enough sun to sustain our instant kill spam while still getting melon bolts in the bottom 2 lanes. I chose the bottom 2 lanes for my melon bolts because the level isn't completely balanced in sending out the same amount of zombies in every lane, since Gargantuars don't spawn in the topmost lanes, making defending the bottom lanes more important as we need more damage there. Unfortunately, this was insufficient defense as newspaper zombies on the top broke through our Tallnut, and I didn't quite want to continue an unoptimal run, knowing this wasn't enough to beat the level. Instead of focusing on 2 lanes, I decided to try doing only clustering into lane 4 to maximize the amount of splash damage we can dish out with our melon bolts by splashing onto as many zombies as possible, in hopes this will allow us to open up more instant kills for the top 2 lanes where we struggle in. Fortunately, this actually really helped us out, and I managed to stay alive for a much longer time, making it to the second flag with this strategy. However, this was quite lackluster after a while, because the buildup of pumpkin zombies really messes us up by constantly healing up the most threatening zombies in front of them, creating an unbreakable barricade for us to deal with. I tried all sorts of formations of melon bolts, 3 melons in each row 4 and 5. Still didn't work because of terrible angry dancing zombie RNG in this run. Tried it again. Didn't work either because of terrible target zombie RNG once again ruining our day by spawning several catapults to block us from planting tall nuts. And finally, we have our 23rd attempt. Tried clustering into the 4th row again for maximum splash value, but sorry, how many newspapers does the game seriously need to throw at us? And how convenient they all went to the top 2 lanes, and now the roof clearance get used, everything spawns in the bottom 3 lanes to overwhelm us all at once immediately with how many ladder zombies get sent in. There is literally no way for us to get around all the zombies this level. It's not like I'm bad at the game, this set of zombies is just pure stupid. I have no more words to describe this level other than it's ridiculously dumb. This locked and loaded challenge was more indicative of how busted the zombies in Bruno Mode EX Plus was, like the shovel zombie, or even just newspaper zombies. It's very likely this level is beatable without RNG manipulation, but I gave up on my third stream after realizing how stupid the level was because so much of it was luck based due to the unpreventable target zombies that get thrown at you and whether shovel zombies appear in bad lanes or not. I gave the level 4 last attempts a few months later and I still couldn't beat it. So I'm not interested in playing this level again because it's just rolling the dice at this point until the game decides not to send 10 target zombies in one run. So that's why I'm moving on from Schrodinger Zombie and stepped away to continue my progress on Bruno Mode EX Plus on other levels and other challenges. So that's every level I haven't shown in one video. Now I've truly went over every single level in the game. What's next for the series? Well, it's not actually over yet, because we still have Adventure 2 to complete, but I'm putting a twist on it to make it more interesting than just every level has one extra flag in it. I'll be beating, or at least try to beat Adventure 2 with only evolved plants. Yup, no Doomshroom, no Planter, none of the plants we're used to using. This will certainly be a challenge considering we can't use the dumb strategy and every level is more difficult than before, so stay tuned for the next few videos and live streams where I attempt this challenge. By the time I'm releasing this video, I've already finished most of the levels with only evolved plants on my live streams, so go watch those if you want a head start to see what's to offer. As for the tier list video, I haven't considered whether to combine both normal and evolved plants into one tier list or not. But if I do decide to combine them, I will play Adventure 2 again, but with no restrictions and use a different strategy every level, just so the tier list is not going to be just completely biased towards Doomshroom. That's all I have for today. Make sure to subscribe to catch the start of Only Evos. Thank you to our channel members for supporting the RCCH channel. For now, have a great day and I'll see you all next time.